It takes a lot of effort and coordination to move the amount of people that the Israelites have through the wilderness. And we have seen marching orders. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the trumpets, the sounds that are going to be used to control the masses, to dictate the movements of the individuals so that they can work in teams and actually get something done and be coordinated. Numbers 10:1, and the Lord said to Moses, 10:2, make 2 trumpets of silver, of hammered or turned work. You shall make them, that you may use them to call the congregation and for breaking camp. Here we have the creation of a musical instrument, the creation of the trumpet. And there is going to be 2 of them that are being made out of silver. Silver is a relatively soft metal, and it was probably beaten into shape. And it's likely a very simple trumpet, so just like a long tube with a flared end that when blown into or whatever, it kind of makes a distinctive sound. So not really that much of a musical instrument. It's more of a tool of making signals, similar to a whistle. A whistle that is in the hands of a lifeguard is not a musical instrument, and this is probably similar to that idea, that the sound of the trumpet is just used for symboling. Making signals. I do wonder if the tuning of these trumpets may have been different from one to the other, because we're going to see later on when it talks about, well, one of them's being blown and the other one isn't, and the only way that you'd be able to really tell them apart from the distance is if they sounded different from one another. Numbers 10:3, when they both are blown, all the congregation shall assemble before you at the door of the tent of meeting. We are going to see a collection now of different methods in which these trumpets are blown to signal the people of Israel. And here we have both of them being blown, and it is a call to bring everybody together, the whole congregation. Numbers 10:4, and if one blast on a single trumpet is blown, then the princes or leaders, heads of the tribes of Israel, shall gather themselves to you. If both the trumpets sounded the exact same, when both are blown, it would probably just be a little bit louder, but it would be hard to determine whether or not it was 1 or 2 trumpets. I guess if you have 2 trumpets, and assuming it's the doubling, that would be 3 decibels, which is not necessarily discernible as far as an increase of volume. I think it's usually 7 or 8 decibels is usually that amount, although I guess that's not really necessary for where we are right now. Anyway, if they are different tones, it would be easy to tell if it was 1 or 2 trumpets, because when one's blown, it sounds one way, when the other's blown, it sounds another, and when both are blown, the sound waves would merge or cancel out or whatever, and it would sound different as well. So then you'd have 3 different sounds that way, and that would be a lot easier to determine. Of course, they may have a visual on the person who is blowing the trumpet, and they can see whether or not there's 2 guys there blowing trumpets or there's just one guy blowing a trumpet, and maybe that is the way that they make their discernment. And they hear the sound, they go and look towards the tabernacle and see if there's 1 guy there or 2 guys there to know whether or not they need to go to the assembly, whether everybody has to go or just the princes have to go. So I don't know, it's quite interesting. Maybe not, but I think it's interesting. Numbers 10:5, when you blow an alarm, the camps on the east side of the tabernacle shall set out. 10:6, when you blow an alarm the second time, then the camps on the south side shall set out. An alarm shall be blown whenever they are to set out on their journeys. So now we have mention of this blowing of the alarm, and it is my understanding that this is the method in which they blew on the trumpet, that this was kind of a long, loud, continuous blast, as opposed to maybe a shorter one for the normal signaling, and that would be the way that they would be able to tell the difference and know whether or not it's time to go and visit the tabernacle or if it's time to grab your sword. So And here in the second portion, we have the signal to start the march. So you'd kind of want to know the difference between them. And maybe it was more clear if we were there and we could hear this and be like, oh, that makes sense. That's how they were able to tell it apart. But a lot of this, we just have what is written here, and we can just kind of speculate a little bit on how exactly they were blowing the trumpets. Numbers 10:7. When the congregation is to be assembled, you shall blow the trumpets in short, sharp tones, but not the blast of an alarm. I always love it when you're studying the Bible, you're reading the Bible, and you come up with these questions, and then you read the next sentence, and there's the answer. This is where they're getting that from. This is the idea of the short blast and the long blast, whether or not it is to gather together or to raise the alarm. Numbers 10:8. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall blow the trumpets, and the trumpets shall be to you for a perpetual statute throughout your generations. Aaron had 4 sons. 2 of them are no longer alive, but the 2 that are alive are the priest, and both of them are going to have a trumpet. So maybe that's why they only made 2 trumpets, and if he had more sons that were still alive, that they would have made more. It doesn't make sense to make trumpets if there's no one that's going to use them, so that's what we have right here at this point in time. Later on, when the priesthood gets larger in size and Israel gets larger in size, we're going to see more individuals with trumpets, but for here and now in Numbers, we just have the 2 trumpets, and that's more than enough for all the signaling that needs to be done. Numbers 10:9. When you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then blow an alarm with the trumpets, that you may be remembered before the Lord your God, and you shall be saved from your enemies. In many ways, this seems similar to a lot of ideas that we see in the New Testament about praying endlessly, that in your times of need, your times of trouble, you need to call in the artillery. You need to phone home to the one that has the power over the situation. God likes to be depended on. And here we have the Israelites. They're going to war. Are they just going to go to war and not consult the Lord, not contact him, not ask for support? Maybe. But God would prefer that they did. And blowing the trumpets, blowing them nice and strongly. And, the Lord hears that, and he likes that. Not that they're going to war, but that they're depending on him. Trusting in the Lord. Numbers 10:10. Also in the day of rejoicing, and in your set feasts, and at the beginning of your months, you shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and your peace offerings. Thus they may be a remembrance before your God. I am the Lord your God. Here we have the opposite end of the spectrum. The good times, the great celebrations, the feasts, all these wonderful things that are happening. Blowing the trumpet, signaling the Lord that this is great, and being thankful for the Lord for these great and glorious times. God wants to be part of the bad times. He wants to be part of the good times. He wants to be trusted all around in everything. Numbers 10:11. On the 20th day of the 2nd month in the 2nd year since leaving Egypt, the cloud of the Lord's presence was taken up from over the tabernacle of the testimony. 10:12. And the Israelites took their journey by stages out of the wilderness of Sinai, and the guiding cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. 10:13. When the journey was to begin, at the command of the Lord through Moses. So now we're shifting gears, shifting into something else. Now we're taking another look at the wilderness wandering. This appears to be about the start of the wilderness wandering. We have the Lord dwelling in the tabernacle. We have the cloud by day and the firestorm by night. Numbers 10:14. In the first place went the standard of the camp of the sons of Judah by their companies. Over their host was Nashon, son of Aminadab. At the start of the book of Numbers, we looked at the camps and how they were going to be laid out and which tribe went where, and the marching orders and the order that they would be leaving on. So that was how it was going to be. And here in this chapter, we're having the actualization of that. So they're following the Lord's commandments and they're marching in the order that he dictated. And we're just going to go through this quickly. Numbers 10:15. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Issachar was Nathaniel, son of Zuar. 10:16. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Zebulun was Elab, son of Halon. 10:17. When the tabernacle was taken down, the sons of Gershon and Merari, bearing it on their shoulders, set out. 10:18. The standard of the camp of Reuben set forward by their companies, and over Reuben's host was Eleazar, son of Shadur. 10:19. And over the tribe of the sons of Simeon was Shemiel, son of Zurishashadi. 10:20. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Gad was Eliasaph, son of Duel. So what we have seen here so far is several tribes that are marching together, and they're being led by two flags, two standards. And the reason why it is that way is because when they were camping, they were grouped up. There was multiple tribes in each of the cardinal directions, but there was only one standard per cardinal direction. So that's what we have going on there. They were grouping up and under one flag as a result, despite being separate and distinct tribes. It was just to make it simpler and easier. Numbers 10:21. Then the Korathites set forward, bearing the holy things, and the tabernacle was set up before they arrived. So in the middle of this giant train of people, we have the tabernacle and the holy things being carried. I'm just going to point that out because it's pretty cool. Numbers 10:22. And the standard of the camp of the sons of Ephraim set forward according to their companies, and over Ephraim's host was Elishama, son of Ammihud. 10:23. Over the host of the tribe of the sons of Manasseh was Gamaliel, son of Pedahizur. 10:24. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Benjamin was Abiadan, son of Gideoni. 10:25. Then the standard of the camp of the sons of Dan, which was the rear guard of all the camps, set forward according to their companies, and over Dan's host was Ahizar, son of Amishadadi. 10:26. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Asher was Pigiel, son of Ochran. 10:27. And over the host of the tribe of the sons of Naphtali was Ahira, son of Enan. 10:28. This was the Israelites' order of march by their hosts when they set out. So you have a large group of people, followed by the tabernacle and the holy items, followed by the rest of the people, taking up the rear. And that is how they are going to be marching on this long journey. Numbers 10:29. And Moses said to Hobab, son of Reuel the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are journeying to the place of which the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will do you good, for the Lord has promised good concerning Israel. So this verse here is quite interesting. There's some debate whether or not this is Moses' father-in-law or his brother-in-law, due to the way it is written. And in the ancient Hebrew, the word for father-in-law and brother-in-law were the same word. And then there's questions about this name, whether or not it was spelled correctly, and maybe that was actually Moses' father-in-law's name, and this Regule or whatever. It gets complicated, but I guess the identity of who this is isn't necessarily the most important thing. But the idea here is that Moses wants to take this person along, this person who has been on a lot of adventures, and maybe there'd be some sort of beneficial property to bringing them along. In reality, it shows a lack of faith. He's trying to bring like a guide person along when he has the Lord dwelling as a cloud in the tent of meeting there. He's got God there wanting to lead the way, and Moses is seeking an alternative. It's not necessarily that he wants to bring him along on the journey and look after him because there's salvation with the Lord and it would be beneficial for him that way. It's more the weakness of the flesh of Moses than for him to trying to help this person out. Numbers 10 and 30. And Hobab said to him, I will not go. I will depart to my own land and to my family. Here we have a flat out rejection. He says no to Moses. He wants to go back to his own land and his own people and do his own thing. He doesn't want to go on this journey. Numbers 10:31. And Moses said, do not leave us, I pray you, for you know how we are to encamp in the wilderness, and you will serve as eyes for us. The Israelites have been struggling, and this man is seasoned and knows a thing or two. And Moses is begging for his help due to the pitiful state that they are in. But it is the weakness of Moses and Moses' flesh that he is desiring that from this man. It's kind of a sad thing to see Moses being like this, but this is a historic document of the events that took place. And Moses was a human, and as such, he had weaknesses in the flesh. Numbers 10:32. And if you will go with us, it shall be that whatever good the Lord does to us, the same we will do to you. So first he tries out of pity and out of necessity, and now here comes the bribery, that he'll be looked after very well if he comes with them. Moses is just desperate here, but we see it is not effective. I think the Lord may have interfered, or this man just wasn't interested in going on a long journey. He had his own thing to do and he was done. Numbers 10:33. They departed from the mountain of the Lord, Mount Sinai, 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them during the 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. 10:34. The cloud of the Lord was over them by day when they went forward from the camp. So the Ark of the Covenant is held by the Korathites, and that is in the middle of the column of people, the human train. So when it refers to leading the group, it is likely referring to the Lord leading the group in his presence as either the firestorm by night or the cloud by day, leading them where they need to go. Numbers 10:35. Whenever the ark set out, Moses said, rise up, Lord, let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. 10:36. And when it rested, he said, return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands in Israel. So we have Moses doing this thing where he is declaring when they're leaving and when they're stopping. It's almost like a prayer that he has, something to repeat. And I think other people would have heard this as well, and it probably had a big impact on them. as people would talk about what Moses was doing. For they didn't necessarily know everything that Moses did, and they watched everything he did very closely to try to learn more about their situation and to learn more about the Lord and how to serve him. So now they are officially on their journey, and we're 3 days in, and it's time to take a break. A couple days of marching is probably very exhausting with this amount of people.